Hello there everyone, welcome back to Alpha Tauri. We are about to continue where we left off. We're about to go to Japan. Sonoda's going to have a field day, but we probably do need to deal with stuff at one point, but before that, let's just jump into the Japanese Grand Prix. It's good to be back. We have a very healthy lead. We have, well, a little bit of a fight here with Lawson, with the Red Bull drivers. Potentially George Russell might become a part of it, but the lead here is more or less a foregone conclusion at this point, so looking forward to that. But yeah, we're going to jump into Japan. We're going to try and power through some races today, and we'll see how this goes. For the race in Japan, it's going to be cloudy. It's going to be rain now in quali, but we do have the issue from last time where we decided to, well, not replace our ERSs. They are now getting to the point where we don't really have a choice. So for this race here, we are going to be buying new ones for both our drivers. Sonoda's is still acceptable to use, it's at 40%, but I think we might as well just bite the bullet here. Take penalties for both, get that out of the way. They both should still have parts for the rest of the season, I would hope, and that should be perfectly okay to do it like this. Potentially, we might want to take it a little bit easier, but I still think that is an acceptable way of getting things done, that we take penalty for ERSs here. So we'll get through the quali and we'll see where we actually stack up on the grid with said penalties. Here we are, we qualified first and second, which is great because we are taking penalties. Sainz taking penalties, Norris taking penalties, so we might not actually be moved as far down as we feared. We'll see here now, where we actually end up, of course, starting. We do move to 8th and 9th, 10 grid place penalty. It is what it is, but we do have some pretty decent chance of making a bit of a comeback. If we have a look at what we can expect in terms of the tires themselves, you can see here that the softs are 5/10ths quicker than the mediums. Degradation wise, they degrade by 300s a lap, so they're actually fairly competitive. Should be working for 16-17 laps before they become equal to the mediums, so they are actually a decent choice here. For medium to hard, it's about 15 laps of advantage, so that's good too. Pretty short pit lane, just 20 seconds, so with that in mind, we do have some options there in terms of what tires we want to use. Lawson here, for instance, has 2 sets of mediums and a hard, same with Sonoda, and that does open up some options for us, although medium here, as you can see, is kind of what is recommended by the planner, if you will, itself. And if you remember, we want to do the aggressive stints on the harder compound here, so we could try something like this potentially, and it would probably still be somewhat viable. It's about 11 seconds quicker than the standard one. Our one stopper here, while viable, is a tad slower than this. So what I want to see here is if we were to say go medium hard medium on full attack, what can we expect in terms of lap times? And I think the answer is that it's going to be the best strategy that we could hope for. So 16 seconds quicker. It is still 5 seconds quicker than this one. So it is certainly viable. And we could actually start on the hards if we really wanted to. Stretch them a bit further. We're just going to do 17 laps here on the mediums, basically making them somewhat equals to, you know, a soft stint. But it is still going to be probably the best strategy that we can do here, going very, very aggressive. The cars in front shouldn't be anything that is super slow, so we should still have somewhat of, as I said, an advantage here. We can also try something like this, where we go a bit soft towards the end, aggressive softs. And I don't think it's going to be necessarily quicker than Tsunoda's. It's actually going to be a second slower. So while that is an option, we're just going to go with what we are used to. Very aggressive strategies that opt for, you know, a little bit of flexibility, but not much. And I think that is going to be the best option here, to just go as hard as we can and try and regain the positions lost due to, well, the penalties that we had to take due to the ERS. But again, we don't really have much of a choice. They need to be taken. We definitely needed another set of ERS for both cars before the end of the season. Ferrari, Red Bull on the front line. I think we see a Merc there. See the other Merc back there. But we have Stroll and Piastri, so they could potentially be a little bit of a block here for us. But
you can use overtake if you need.
I still think that we can, you know, make our way... That's the wrong key. That we can make our way through without too much trouble here. So, Tsunoda and Lawson, both where they kind of started, running side by side here. A little bit of a risk. But the Astons have had a good start. They are making their places. We're going to see if we too can make up a place or so, because Stroll ahead of us is on hards. Actually, everyone ahead of us is on hard tires here, so us pitting a bit early here could definitely be to our advantage. Albon has opted to start for all softs. He's going to have a bit of a rough time here, I think. But this does open up some chances for us now, particularly on lap 2 and forwards. After lap 2, lap 3, when the car starts slowing down due to them taking care of their tires and just running a tad slower. So I still think we have some pretty good chances during this race, to be certain. There's nothing that will really slow us down in a spectacular manner. We'll basically have a bit of an advantage. Tsunoda gets a pass there on Stroll. And I think we're going to see the same here now from Lawson. And with that and DRS now enabled, I don't think we'll have too many problems getting our way back up to the front. Now, the main concern is, of course, the fact that we are offset now in terms of strategy. They are on the hards, we're on the softs. They are going to go long on these hards. The cars behind us, though, are luckily, for the most part, mediums and softs. So when we pit, it shouldn't be too much of a problem to get by, because they will be pitting around the same time that we are. So it's still looking acceptable. Tsunoda, though, is having a bit of a problem here with the Aston. So hopefully with a little bit of ERS help, we can get him by. If not, we're just gonna have to save a little bit of energy so that we can launch an attack. We are close enough now, at least before the straight, that I think, with the help of DRS now, even if you have virtually no energy, that should be enough for us to kind of get by. And clearly it wasn't. Oh, it's because the DRS straight is here. I, for some reason, thought we had DRS here. I miscalculated where we were on track, and that's not good. But yeah, we'll keep on working our way upwards. The tires still have a lot to go on here. 135 degrees, so we don't need to worry about that. Behrman has ran wide with debris. I don't know if they've crashed. I would assume they've crashed. Probably Behrman running into debris on the rejoin. Looks like that is exactly what happened. So yeah, the Haas on Haas violence, which has been a staple this year, we see a little bit more of. But yeah, we're going to speed things up here now. We are going to be trying to just get things going. Tsunoda did run wide here, though. Or run wide. Which sucks a little bit, but doesn't look like it caused any damage. I think we're still fine. So for now, we'll just leave things as they are. We'll try and make our way upwards. But if we can't, we'll just have to deal with that once we, you know, get our first pit stops done. The cars in front are kind of pulling away here, but hopefully we can, you know, get some inroads done, get by the Alpine, and get by Stroll before too long passes here. So we'll work on that, and we'll see where we're at in about 10 laps when we do that first pit stop. We're getting very close here now to that first pit stop of ours, and as a result, we're going to have to think about how we want to do this. So currently we are running, as you can see, in 3rd and 5th. We're basically up there with the leaders. When we do pit, though, we're going to be falling pretty far back, and we are going to have to go through traffic. Hopefully this traffic should, for the most part, pit within a few laps, and if the hard runners remain on the hards for an extended period of time, we shouldn't have any problems getting ourselves back into, you know, a good position. So we're going to pit Lawson this lap. We're going to be pitting Tsunoda on the next one. And well, we will, as I said, have a little bit of overtaking that we need to do. As long as the cars pit, it shouldn't be that bad. So that is kind of what we're banking on. But we'll aim at getting Tsunoda in this lap. Lawson has, luckily for him, just a little bit of fresh air. Most cars, they aren't part of a DRS train either, with the exception of Magnus and Sargent. And potentially Bottas here. We'll have to see where they actually end up. But Tsunoda now is going to be coming out probably ahead of that train, which gives him a lot of freedom, but puts Lawson in a bit of a pickle here because, of course, Lawson needs to get overtakes done. But we have now also got a virtual safety car. Looks like Norris and Magnussen probably crashed behind us.
And there's been quite a crash.
Maybe just Magnussen alone, but I thought I saw Norris out of the track there too.
That's the location for this one.
Nope, he did it on his own.
That's a pretty big impact there.
Bit unfortunate. That is going to be probably a new gearbox for sure.
VSC, VSC. Stay
With
close to
that,
the reference. Copy.
we have a couple of cars pitting, Sainz and Piastri among them. Luckily enough, we beat both of those out, but I'm worried that any of the hard runners ahead of us will be pitting as well. But generally, this is acceptable. Bottas, Sargent, if they like to pit and get out of Lawson's way, I will not complain. That would actually help us out quite a bit, in all honesty. They elect not to for some reason. But we will give Lawson here just straight up the attack order, and we'll put him to high aggression now. We will not do the same for Tsunoda, but we'll give it to Lawson because Lawson has cars he needs to get by. You know, hopefully quickly, so that he can start chasing down the front runners for a little bit more time. But I think he shouldn't have any problems getting by, you know, 50 medium cars in front of him. But he might have to wait until the DRS zone, or, you know, the next straight here, because we are kind of limited on where to overtake. Looks like this next straight isn't going to give him any freebies, so yeah, overtake. Oh, he gets one into the corner though. Maybe get the other one with DRS. We'll see. Looks like he's going for it, and he does pull that off. Gives him, as said, a lot of freedom here, which is kind of important. We might want to tell Tsunoda to push, but as you can see, he's already running away from Stroll. So both cars now in a decent position, bunch of free air, can start hunting down these hard runners, and if we catch up to them before they pit, that would be amazing. In terms of lap times now, we are running still a little bit slow. These are the VSC lap times. Tsunoda does set fastest lap, 29.3, 29.5. So we're running a full 2 seconds ahead of them. So if they stay out for 10 more laps, or, you know, around there, we're going to be way ahead of them with both cars. So we'll speed things along here, and we'll see where we're at in, you know, once we get to medium tires. Our rivals have started pitting. We have most of them now in the pits. We still have Verstappen out, we still have Gasly out, but Russell, Ocon, and Leclerc, as well as Sainz. Well, Sainz pitted early under the virtual safety car, but they are getting in there in terms of getting these pit stops done. So still looking good, honestly. We're still in very, very good shape here. As you can see, we already caught up to Verstappen. Gasly, though, Russell, Ocon, they could be a bit of a problem, but at this stage, I'd say we are pretty dominant. We do have a bit of a fuel issue here. I've been pushing a little bit too hard, but worst case scenario, we'll just be running a little bit conservatively during the last 10 or so laps. I still think that we could still pull off a 1-2 here. We're getting increasingly close to that final pit stop. Degradation here has been far less than we expected. So what we could do here, if we want to be really experimental, is go on to soft tires. But I think we'll just go onto the medium now. And as you can see, for Tsunoda, he should come out just about ahead of Verstappen. For Lawson, it's going to be a little bit worse here. Going to come out probably behind Sainz. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to be much of an issue for him to regain the positions. But we might have to just run a little bit slower here. Run a little bit on conserve in order to regain fuel, mainly. And that should be all right, honestly. And as I said, it actually beat Sainz out though, so let's go ahead and take advantage of that. Worst case scenario here, we'll end up with Sainz as a bit of a pulley, but we'll go ahead and conserve. We are going to just pit Tsunoda, and he should come out healthily ahead of Verstappen. He's going to have to do 3 overtakes though, so it's not all good in with this strategy, but as I said, should still be fairly acceptable. Comes out just a little bit behind Ocon there. But we'll do as we're doing with Lawson. We're going to recover the fuel first and foremost, and then we'll give them the full push attack. Now, Tsunoda is already kind of attacking Ocon even without that, while running on conserve with the help of DRS. And if we give Lawson just the fuel back, and a little bit of push here, I'm pretty sure he's going to get Verstappen in short order as well. So he actually got him right there. So we'll just run them on conserve, get them down to about 0.1, 0.2, then tune them up to balanced. And with the attack mode here, or rather with the attack push on the tires, I don't see any, chance of the other teams really beating us here. Tsunoda is now up to the back of Russell. We're going to give him deploy though. Again, the max temp on these is 135 degrees, so it's still far off. We're going to give Tsunoda deploy in order to get away from Russell. We don't want to be the cause of, him creating more gaps down to Lawson. And for Lawson here, it's just running him as he is. We have 8 laps, 7 off this one, but he's up into third. He's just 2 seconds, shorting down every time. DRS now to Russell. So honestly, once again, not really too much of a challenging race here, unless of course we have some incidents. But we did make a comeback here with, of course, the damage from switching our ERSs, and we'll take that with us home for sure. Now, with that in mind, we are going to go ahead here and allow Lawson to just, allow this race to reach its natural conclusion, unless, of course, we have an incident. We should have a 1-2 here. We did manage to finish 1-2. Tsunoda in first, Lawson in second. Leclerc here ended up third, Russell fourth. Then we have Ocon, Verstappen, Sainz, Gasly, Piastri, and Norris. So a little bit surprising. But this does put Lawson now in more of a firm seat for second, although it's just 2 points out of Leclerc. He's still now back into that second place. Russell, 20 points behind now, still in the fight with a few races to go, but it's going to have a much harder time getting there. We also have decent pit stops here, can't complain. We'll take that. Contreras had a okay practice. We get a decent chunk of money. And generally here, we'll just be able to be very, very happy with that. Side pods have been manufactured, so we'll go ahead and accept that. Same with the suspension. And next up here is just replacing a bunch of car parts, apparently. Let's have a look at all that failed. The financial regulations did get voted down, which was what we wanted, so we'll take that for sure. And we have a front wing, rear wing, and underfloor failure on car 1. So we'll go ahead and just replace those and manufacture new ones. Because, well, we're going to need them. Other than that, I think we're fine. We do have Lusail coming up next. And that should be an interesting affair. But honestly, I think we'll have another kind of calm run. Front wing, rear wing, quickly manufactured there. So we'll take that. And we also have a research coming up, the front wing. So the front wing research here, just basic one, gave us about 3% in most of these airflow stats. But what I want to have a look at here in particular is where we're at right now over the board. Because we are having the big regulation change. The chassis has virtually had no work. Front wing, same here, needs a lot more work. Rear wing, still needs some work, let's be honest. Side pods, needs work. Underfloor, needs work, but it's had some decent gains already. And the suspension here has had basically 50% of its losses mitigated. So we should probably start focusing a little bit on, say, chassis, get this up to about 15%, get the front wings about up to 16%, and basically kind of spread the wealth a little bit. So let's go ahead here, see what we can research. It's the front wing or the chassis. I say we do a chassis research here. Just get that out of the way. It doesn't give us much, but it's a quick research, so it shouldn't be an issue. The underfloor manufactured, which means that all the parts that we lost last race have been, replaced, which is good. I saw something about Contreras having low morale. Okay. We'll just have to live with that, I guess. But it is what it is. Nothing we can do with that. We do have a race preview here for Qatar. And I think we'll guarantee a car on the podium. Make it a little bit easier on ourselves. We do have 30 million in the bank. So you don't really need to stress, although I do think there was something I wanted to upgrade, so we'll go and have a look at that a little bit later. And we'll be passive here, say 2 cars in the top 10, and both cars into Q2. That should be acceptable. It is a sprint weekend, let's see how it goes. We qualified 1-2 for the sprint here, so what we're going to do is fairly simple. We'll go on the mediums. It is the quickest tire in theory. And as you can see on full attack, we should just barely run out of tire. But worst case scenario, we'll just, if we see degradation being kind of dangerous, we'll just run aggressive instead after creating a bit of a gap. So it's still going to be good. We did have that 1-2 as I said, so it's looking promising from that perspective too. We should be able to get away from the cars, the other cars, and that's going to be the goal. They've actually elected to go for soft tires though, so we have one medium run further back, but the soft tire here choice is a tad surprising. But in terms of what we can expect out of performance here, they are about 4/10 quicker, but they'll be losing that performance within about 11 laps. We're also going with a way more aggressive strategy. They just straight up can't do that with soft tires. For instance, if we add in a soft and have a look, the most aggressive strategy you can do on the softs is just normal. So it's going to be a tad slower, I would think. So no real concern here for us. We might struggle a little bit for the first couple of laps, but after that we should be coming into our own, particularly towards the end. So while we might end up running with the rest of the cars as a result, it shouldn't be much of a threat here, honestly, even though Russell has just pulled the double overtake. Again, once the degradation starts really kicking in for them and they start slowing down, it should be a piece of cake for us to regain that lead, although it is very hot this time around. So we might want to take a look at tires, but we can go up to 135 degrees. So again, not worried. Russell is pulling away though with the help of those soft tires. So we do have a little bit of a concern here, particularly early race. But as I said, once he starts slowing down a bit, I have no doubt that we're just going to immediately catch up and kind of eat him up again. So it's perfectly all right, the current situation. We are kind of pulling away from the Red Bulls though. If we manage to get that done before the main straight, that would actually be quite amazing. We kind of did. And I am going to tune... Actually, I'm not going to tune us now. Looks like degradation... Well, Tsunoda's degradation is fine, but looks like degradation is just about where we want it to be. So we'll gamble. We might tune it down to aggressive. Honestly, we probably should for just 3 laps or so. Run it on aggressive here. Russell is kind of getting away. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think that's going to be a huge problem, as I said. Because we should be able to get away or, you know, catch up later. I did forget to turn off Tsunoda's fuel here. That's a rookie mistake. But yeah, we'll keep them running for aggressive for a few laps, and then we'll switch them up to attack. And we'll see if we can, you know, maybe catch him here. For now, though, it is looking pretty decent, although I really would like to change Tsunoda's here, but that's on me. I should change that before the race. For now, though, Russell is still kind of pulling ahead a couple of tenths each lap. But I think we're at the point now where we can go full attack till the end, so we shall go ahead and do that. It is a little bit riskier for Lawson, I'll be honest, but we'll try and push, and we'll see if we can catch up to and overtake Russell. Right now we are. Caught him by about a second that last lap. Tsunoda definitely has some help from DRS though. But as you can see right now, he is very, very rapidly catching up to Russell. We're going to go ahead and recharge that energy, and we're going to use it to kind of get ahead. But I think we're going to just keep Lawson on aggressive for a little bit longer. Probably 5 or so more laps just to be on the safe side. And for Tsunoda here now, I'm actually just going to put him onto deploy already. And he should have no problems now during this straight to just fly by. I would hope, but clearly he, I guess, maybe used a little bit too much energy. But getting this overtake done shouldn't be much of a challenge. He gets it done right there. Lawson is still closing in, running about equal times now. And with Tsunoda getting that overtake on Russell, he should be in a prime position to just fly away, never to be seen from again. We are going to have to run a little bit conservatively here, though, because we did push his fuel a little bit further than we did Lawson's. And that is a bit of a concern, but one that we can easily fix. Lawson, on the other hand, is catching Russell pretty quickly. And I think before the end that he will be getting him, but we shall wait and see. We have gotten a virtual safety car here.
There's a yellow flag.
Ocon has crashed out. The Merc's not having a good time so far. That should be him completely out. Yes, a bit unfortunate. It does, however, put Lawson in a bit of a complicated situation here. It's going to save his tires, which is going to be positive.
Copy.
But at the same time, as you can see, we've had a little bit of high drag, so we should probably turn Tsunoda down to standard. But it's also going to be bad for him, because he's going to have fewer laps to work with. But he is within DRS. He should have energy by the time this restarts. And getting by Russell should be somewhat easy. Degradation-wise, we're on the same level as softs. You can see signs here show a lot of these cars kind of needed this virtual safety car to just save them a little bit. But as you see, Norris are normal, very far back. It is just what it is. And we'll see now if Lawson can get this overtake done. We'll put him up to medium risk taking. Should make that job a little bit easier. But he is still within DRS. He has energy to use. We're pushing fuel. We've given him basically every tool available right now. So as soon as the tires get hot enough, as soon as he gets a little bit closer, I think he'll get this done within a lap or two. Looks like he did consider it right there. But yeah, I think we are basically in a prime position now to secure another 1-2. And that should also make the race a little bit easier there. Lawson gets by. Pretty simple and straightforward. Did cost his entire battery though.
Copy box.
And again here, the tires are a tad concerning. So they need to survive this lap and next lap. And that is going to be probably a little bit too much for them. But we're going to gamble and just go full attack. Russell is about to hit the same kind of, you know, tire drop-off that we are. So as long as we stay ahead here on the straight, I don't think it's anything for us to really be concerned about. And with that, we're just gonna 8 exit till the end. And there we go. A little bit challenging here with Russell being very, very good. But we did secure another 1-2. Just a sprint race though. But it does give us a good starting point for Losail itself. So we can't be too upset with that. Russell though, pretty impressive that he pulled away as aggressively as he did. So we'll take that. Now for the race itself, as we saw here, the soft tires are about 4 tenths quicker, 300 degradation, so 11 or 12 laps until they start falling off. 300 difference between the medium and the hards, although it's basically a bit closer, 2.5 tenths. Degradation of just 100, so 25 laps advantage to the mediums, although they are fairly equal. Does put us into this probably being the best strategy, medium, medium, hard. We do have some potential tires available, I do believe. But it looks like we might need to run this a final medium stint a little bit less aggressively to make up for anything else. And what we actually have available here are 2 sets of hards for Tsunoda, same. So rather than running that medium stint aggressively, what we might do instead is just put in another hard stint. As you can see, this is suspected to be a couple of seconds quicker. And I'm pretty sure this is the quickest strategy we can come up with around this place, to be fair. The pit window, or rather the time it takes to pit, is just 22 seconds, fairly short. So I'm thinking that we're going to do this for both cars. It's a bit boring to put both cars on the same strategy, but if the strategy has, you know, advantages like this, it would be silly not to do it. So we'll do that. It's going to be massively quicker than you know, the base strategies here by 0.5 minute and 20 seconds, so we should have a fairly decent advantage with that. We're going to go ahead and put both drivers on to the most aggressive strategy that we can. It is the best way to play this game in terms of doing well, so that is why we've opted to do that. Now, it looks like we're the only team that has opted to start on the hards. I see some mediums. There was actually one hard set in there as well, on signs. Sargent on old softs, then we some fresh softs, the rest on fresh mediums. Good start from both our boys here, although Russell is once again attacking us from the get-go. We also have a yellow flag, so a bit of an incident in turn 1 there, I think. Maybe someone ran wide. I would assume that, since it's no big problem, just Stroll spinning.
Yeah, it was a mistake.
It's what it is. It happens. He admitted it. We'll take that. We'll accept that. But yeah, good start here for our cars. Lawson up into second. Retain that. Does have a gap down to Verstappen, then Leclerc. Russell has fallen down pretty massively here. It's down into 7th now. What happened to him? I don't know. But we'll see now if both Tsunoda and Lawson can keep their positions alive. Tsunoda has basically done that. Did I accidentally put Lawson to always defend? Had to check there. But I think we are in a pretty stable configuration again. We just need to get Lawson away from Verstappen and Leclerc, and then we can just kind of run relaxed out front. Now, we might have to harvest a little bit of energy to make that possible, but I want to see if we can, over the course of this next lap here, where we are still kind of, you know, passive, gain enough time on Verstappen where it's viable that we can pull away without ERS. And so far, I have to say that that does not look very likely. So we're just going to go ahead and harvest. If Verstappen overtakes us here with DRS, it's actually not an issue. He'll be pulling us along. We'll be able to harvest, and then we can retake that position a little bit later. So Tsunoda has once again ran wide. He seems to be doing that a lot lately. That's not great. Luckily, nothing major. He didn't pull an Ocon, so we'll be happy with that. And honestly, as I said it with Lawson, we're happy with where he is as long as he keeps away ahead of Leclerc. Leclerc is gaining though, so it is a bit concerning. We might need to, you know, go a little bit aggressive on the energy usage a little bit earlier than anticipated. But for now and the next lap here, I think we'll take it a tad slow. Basically, if Verstappen re-overtakes us now, we'll push the lap after. But Verstappen is actually slowing down quite massively, so I should have pushed. I think Verstappen still has DRS. He just about has it. But we're gonna push now with Lawson. The gap is there. We can get away. So we're gonna head and establish the gap itself. I think we already have done that. Tune Lawson down a little bit, speed it up, and looks like we are safe. So we're gonna push fuel here to about 1.5 kilograms of a deficit. Then we'll allow things to just progress until the first pit stop. Degradation wise, we're still looking good. Temps they go up to 140, so we are well within our window. And unless we have something happening now, we're just going to allow time to progress, allow the race to run its natural course until we get closer to our pit stops. Let's see where we're at then. We're getting increasingly close to that first pit stop. Austin here is in a little bit of trouble, but we have to stretch him at least one more lap, I'm thinking. We might still have to just go aggressive on that final stint. When we pit him now, he's supposed to come out 7th. I agree with that, honestly. He is 4 seconds behind Tsunoda, which means that he should be coming out in a pretty good window here, honestly. All of these guys are also getting very low on their medium stints. They will be pitting before long, so undercutting them is not a horrible idea. For Tsunoda here, we're going to be pitting him at the end of this lap to make it a little bit easier. And let's see how Olsen actually ends up doing here with this pit stop. No real issues. Quick pit stop. Going to come out in 7th. Sainz just rounded the corner. Lawson is about 4 seconds behind. That's more than acceptable. It will give him a lot of breathing space. Tsunoda could potentially then come out ahead of Sainz. He might come up between Sainz and Gasly, which wouldn't be the best thing, honestly. If it could get some free air like Lawson, that would be neat. But if it can't, that's just how we're gonna have to live with it. Lawson might actually, well, not really beat him out there. But Tsunoda did end up between a couple of cars, but this is still a good position. As long as he can stay there, warm up the tires, and then get out ahead of Verstappen. Basically, when he pits, which should be fairly soon, these tires are dying at this point. We shouldn't have any problems with, you know, making up places. Lawson has no problem at all. So it's looking promising here. Tsunoda has gotten Verstappen. Russell elects to pit, so that's one might think. The rest of them should be pitting within, you know, a few laps here as well. And with that, we are, at this point, I dare say, a pit stop ahead. So pitting for that medium stint towards the end shouldn't be a problem unless we have an incident, you know, crash or something else that will cause us a bit of problems. Leclerc does pit. Gasly, Verstappen, Sainz are the ones that haven't, but I do think Lawson now, as soon as we get to the straight, or even before that for that matter, it's just going to fly by Gasly, and Gasly elects to pit. So we have a fairly healthy lead. We'll be speeding things along. We'll see where we stand once we get to that final stint of ours. We've had a bit of an incident here with Lawson. He has spun, but looks like he somehow managed to keep the car alive, which is honestly just amazing. But as you can see, he has absolutely killed his tires, which puts him into a bit of a worrisome position here. But it should still be okay, I would dare say. We are going to have to slow him down a bit. Aggressive is still going to be pushing it, but it is doable, and that is the important part here. So we will be pitting him a tad early. He's probably going to come out behind Gasly, but that's fine. We will push him one more lap here on these worn hards. It's just what we kind of have to do here. Just because, well, we don't really have a lot of leeway. And Tsunoda here has basically a pit stop down now down to Russell, so he is more or less safe. But yeah, that incident does put Lawson in a bit of trouble. And as I said, he should come out behind Gasly, Leclerc, and Russell. Now Russell will have to pit again, but Gasly and Leclerc will not. They're on hards. I can basically guarantee they're going to be staying out until the end, save for any, you know, incidents. For Tsunoda here, we might actually just stretch him a couple laps extra because he does have that breathing space because of Russell needing to pit again. And for Lawson here, we'll see if we can actually get him ahead of the cars in front before too long. We do need to turn down the aggression though, and we might actually just want to run him standard here for a couple laps because his fight is with Leclerc. Don't get this wrong, the fight is with Leclerc. Russell now pits, so we just need to keep the tires alive and get by Leclerc down the line. So running them on standard, reducing the you know, drain a little bit for a few laps is perfectly viable. And Lawson here, as I said, should have no problems getting Gasly. Might need a little bit of energy help though, because we aren't running as aggressively as we can. And for Tsunoda here, we're just gonna keep him out for a couple more laps. He has time to go on. He has time to go on. So there's no real need for us to stress with getting him into the pits.
The Alpha Tauri involved here. It's there for the taking.
Gets that overtake done very nicely. Now Lawson should potentially get Leclerc here on his own, but I think we saved enough time now that we can just turn him up to aggressive. That should make that job a lot easier. And while I've kind of forgotten about Tsunoda, he has more than enough breathing space that we can just get him in right now. He is over here. We're on the first corner. So calling him in now is fine, although I did stretch that one a little bit longer than recommended, to put it like that. For Lawson here, I'm pretty sure he is going to get the overtake done now on the main straight. Let's have a look. Can't imagine that he will not. Actually, just a tad too slow there. So let's just go ahead and harvest. We still have 13 laps to play with here to get the overtake done. We don't need to stress, but we should be able to just overtake and then pull away from the rest of the pack. We do have a bit of a surprise here that I didn't really account for, and the name of that surprise is Russell. He's pulled away here, and Lawson's confidence keeps on going down, unfortunately. Just can't get by Leclerc, and the longer we stay behind Leclerc and allow Russell to get away, the lower the chances of us catching him becomes. So I do need to have Lawson here get the overtake done basically on this straight. So we'll give him energy, we'll give him everything that he needs to just pull away from Leclerc. And 4 seconds now up to Russell, who is running on, you know, more worn softs now. The mediums are going to get more and more advantage the longer we run. I still think that we can catch him, but he was a bit of a unexpected surprise, I guess you could say. But catching him here, I think, shouldn't be much of a concern of ours. Although we aren't running much quicker, and we did have DRS that last lap. We might just need to gamble on going full attack, but as you can see, even now, the tires just aren't going to be able to take that. So we'll just have to see here. So we have 10 laps. We need to catch about 3/10 a lap on average. And this last lap, we did just that. So let's see if we can keep that up until the end of this race. We're at America, Coda. This is not an error, it's just me being a silly goose, and I forgot to hit record when I sat down at the end of the last race. I needed to fix something quickly. I hit the wrong button to start recording again, and I thought it was recording, but now I realized that it wasn't. We finished 1-3 at the last race. Russell had a superior strategy to us. He pulled out the soft tires, took advantage of Lawson's bit of a spin there. It is what it is though. First and third is still acceptable. We did some things with our facilities. We'll go over them afterwards. But yeah, it's a bit of a foolish error by me. I'll take that. My apologies. But yeah, we end up first and third in Qatar, and we're about to get into the United States GP. We are ready for the sprint here in Coda. Now, as you can see, as a medium tire will not really make it till the end, but unfortunately, both our boys opted for using their hards in practice, and that kind of leaves us in limbo where we don't really have a choice. The softs just aren't going to do it. The mediums are going to survive, although they'll not be in the greatest shape ever. They will get the job done. So we'll be kind of on a recovery mode here. We're still going to go full attack for the first 2 laps. We don't really have a choice in that. But we are going to be aiming at, you know, doing a bit of a more calm medium run this time around, because we don't really have a choice. We need to make those last till the end. It is Coda though. Incidents can happen. We do have the Red Bulls, we have the Ferraris, so we'll have a little bit of fighting here, basically from the get-go. But we do have a fairly good start here. Tsunoda falling it back a little bit, unfortunately. Not the greatest start from him. Lawson had a good one. And everyone are on the medium tires. So we'll have to see how this one develops. But I think we're basically already in what I like to call the stable configuration, although we've had a crash here. I don't see any hasses, so did the hasses take themselves out again? Well, there was a hass involved. The other one got kind of held up. So, yeah, not really the hass's fault this time. It was Sargent's, let's be honest, I would assume. But yeah, good stuff for us here. We almost have actually pulled away from Russell. And I'll honestly admit here that if we were to, say, pull away over the course of these 2 laps from the rest of the pack, I don't mind Leclerc running with us in that case. That is actually pretty much okay. We can just kind of nurse our tires at that point until the last few laps, and then try and make something from him. And if he wants to push and be, you know, a bit of pulley for us, honestly, I'm all for it. That would be that would actually be kind of helpful. But for now, we'll just stay as we are. He did get the overtake done, which isn't that surprising. The main concern now with having Leclerc run first right now is that everyone is going to be tuning down their tire usage. They're going to be doing that quite aggressively, I might add. So we'll have to see here. Russell, I think he'll be kind of on the limit here for a few laps, depending on if he got DRS now, which I would assume he didn't because he didn't gain time on us. But yeah, things like that is going to have quite a big effect. But as I said, right now I'm happy where we are. There's not really anything we really can do. So for the time being, we might do a little bit of top up, but we will kind of just chill where we are behind Leclerc. As long as we stay up front, we are happy with our current position. Although Show there, or Gasly, had a bit of a spin that slowed everyone down by the looks of it. That was one heck of a turn. Very, very skilled. But yeah, we will just allow things to progress as they are until we get closer till the end of this sprint. We're getting very close to the end here. And as you can see, we have Tsunoda and Lawson running 1-2. They have been switching a little bit back and forth. We do have tyre to spare at this point, so We're going to turn Tsunoda aggressive. We're still going to be a little bit careful here with Lawson. But as long as we create a little bit more of a gap here now between us and the cars behind before the end of this sprint by having Tsunoda run aggressive and kind of pull Lawson along, I don't think we'll have any big problems here. There's also a safety car now. Sargent with a bit of a another incident. So that should secure us the 1-2. Albon versus Sargent. I think Sargent wins, maybe? I'm surprised that that was enough to get them out, so I assume that it might not be a full safety car. It isn't. I swear it said safety car for a second, but that might just be my wishful thinking. Sainz now also have had a bit of an incident apparently. I assume it is with the Merc.
And now we've had a crash.
Let's have a look. Will seem to be around the same, yeah, basically the same kind of incident where they kind of run into each other. It is what it is. But for now, we'll allow our cars to just kind of stay where they are. Tsunoda has gotten away from Lawson, let's be honest, but he did have more tyre to use. Turning Lawson up right now is probably viable, don't get me wrong. And we'll have to see if Stroll can actually get close enough that he can take that 6th place away from Sainz, because Sainz did get a penalty. And if it stays like this, he will. So Stroll does have a pretty good chance here to do just that. But for now, we are happy where we are. We're just going to coast into another 1-2. There is literally no reason for us to do anything, you know, dangerous here. So we'll take that. Sainz should be demoted here to 8th or possibly even 9th. We'll see. Because he did have that penalty. So he actually did get demoted down to 10th. So I was slightly wrong on how far down he would go. But Stroll in points. Show gets in the points. Ocon gets in the points. Well, basically 2 of these were in the points to begin with. But yeah, Sainz gets demoted pretty harshly there. Russell ends up in 3rd. Still giving a valiant fight here. Ferrari has been kind of beating us on strategy. So I'm kind of scared for this one. Particularly considering we only have 1 set of hards. And that does kind of, you know, shape our strategy here. We don't really have much of a choice in what we're going to be doing. Medium, hard, medium is going to be, I dare say, our only bet here, honestly. And we'll be trying to do probably something like this. And as you can see, even this is kind of, you know, rough. It's 12 seconds quicker. But let's say that we were to instead do something like this maybe. Would that be any more helpful? Not really. It makes it even less likely of us to pull this off. So yeah, we might just do this. It is probably the best bet that we have, not joking. But the problem here is going to be that if degradation is more than we expect, we're going to be in a ton of trouble. The only other strategy that I might consider is the thing we did at Barcelona, where we turn a soft stint into a hard stint. And it looks like this might actually be, you know, worth it here. If we turn this soft stint into a hard stint, basically go, what would this be? 22 laps on the soft versus, what is this? 15, 16, 17, 18? Basically, we go longer on the softs than we do on the hard. That would help us out. But I'm curious how well it would help us out. We could potentially make something of it, though. So we'll try and do this. Again, if you are lacking tires like this, it is a valid option. So we'll give this a go. We'll probably do the same somewhat for Lawson here, although I am kind of tempted to just start him on a very relaxed soft, going over to a very angry hard, and then push a medium stint towards the end. Wondering, would soft here be quicker? 10 seconds versus 9? But yeah, soft stint would not be quicker there. So we'll try this. It's going to be a very, very weird one for Lawson, honestly. We might need to go just conserve from the get-go to try and pull this off. So it might very well be a complete misfire, I guess. So yeah, the more I think about it, the more I start to realize that's a horrible idea. But what we could do for him, instead of using the hard tie, for instance, is to try something like this. And okay, that was the wrong key. try something like this. It's still somewhat quick. It's actually quicker. It's actually slower than this one, interestingly enough. But we probably are going to just have to put in the hard stint here then. Full attack. And with that, we can actually move this one a little bit more to the left. That speeds us up. So we'll just put both of them on the same strategy. It is probably the best one here at Coda when we don't have 2 sets of hards. Unfortunately, it is just what it is. We'll just have to live with it. But I am kind of intrigued now that I have the newfound power of turning softs into hards in my repertoire. It does make for more interesting races for sure.
Sit tight and get ready. It's the United States Grand Prix.
Now the rest of them have started on softs.
And it's lights
They
out,
will be degrading
and
fairly
away
quick.
we go.
Now, I didn't actually have a look at this, but before the race itself, softs are 3/10 quicker than mediums, almost 4/10, but they degrade by 5/10, 500, sorry, not 5/10, 500s a lap quicker. So with 4/10 advantage, it's less than 10 laps, basically 8 laps before this medium starts getting better. And the medium to hard is a little bit more, just 12 laps. So the hard here is still the better option, don't get me wrong. But that's Ferrari. Russell is on fire lately. But yeah, we'll be trying to make something out of the strategy. We might just need to tune them down onto aggressive. Basically after the first couple of corners here, we'll have to see. But yeah, Russell being a bit of a demon there, gets ahead of Lawson. I think it would have been eaten up by more drivers if we had played even more strategically, quote unquote. But as you can see, everyone here on mediums or softs. No one on old tires, so that should make things fairly simple. And already, I dare say, we've reached the stable, quote unquote, stage. Now, it's probably going to remain like this for a couple of laps. Give it 3-4 laps here until Russell starts losing energy, as his softs start waning off, as he can't push no more. And that is probably when we're going to start to see us coming a little bit more back against him. For now, though, we are going to tune down our mediums to just aggressive. Should be fine. We do need to keep them alive as long as possible for this strategy to work. So that is exactly what we're going to do. For fuel, we'll be pushing it fairly drastically here, down to 1.5 kilograms, as we usually do. But as I said, for now, it looks fairly stable. Lawson is kind of getting left behind. But at the same time, once Russell pushes hard enough on those softs where they start to super degrade, he's down to 82% already. We're going to be, seeing us catch him more and more until we just straight up overtake him. And then we have nothing to worry about.
Okay.
Now, overheating tires here, we checked that. It's 130 degrees for these mediums, so we are still very, very far from it. And I think already we might start to see Tsunoda kind of start pushing away from Russell, particularly when Russell doesn't have DRS. I guess we could see it in this section on this lap. But Lawson 2 is getting pretty close here. So Russell running behind other cars, he's going to be higher. He's going to be degrading his tires a little bit more than the rest of the pack. And within a few laps here, I think that Tsunoda is just going to leave him behind. We have left Verstappen behind. We have left Ocon behind, although Verstappen is teetering on the edge here. So we'll try and retain things as they are until we get to that first pit stop. But gaps are starting to form. And that's going to make the job of, getting back up to where we were a little bit easier. We'll see how things are looking once we get to that first pit stop of ours. But right now, degradation-wise, it's looking good. And we've immediately had a bit of an incident here. This case is Piastri versus a Haas, I think. Unfortunate for the Haas there. Part of another incident. Bit of a hold up there for the cars in the back, but it is what it is. De Vries eats the penalty. Lawson is actually falling also, as you can see, a little bit behind the other cars. He is fighting with Verstappen. But Russell and Tsunoda are still speeding out front. 9 laps in, his tires are slowing down the descent, but they're still not looking good. I probably should have Tsunoda on this next lap go ahead and push as hard as he can after that first DRS zone. Basically just so that he leaves Russell behind, because right now we are acting as a bit of a pulley to Russell, kind of helping him along here. So we do want to have Tsunoda now just take full advantage of the corners here and establish a bit of a gap with Russell and do the same over the course of this next lap. Russell's going to get a little bit of that time back with the DRS zone, But I think Tsunoda here now is going to be able to basically, as I said, leave him behind. Russell is going to have another DRS zone here to his advantage. Tsunoda still has energy though, so I think this is it for Russell running in the DRS train. Tsunoda has pulled away, and we should see now Lawson, I think, start catching him pretty rapidly. Because as I said, Russell's tires are virtually gone, and we should see a bit of a bigger gain here in lap times. Last time around, caught him by almost a full second. Well, actually more than a second, so if you take that into perspective, yeah, Russell's tires are gone, and he's going to have to pit fairly soon. It is a fairly lengthy pit stop, so it's not going to be a fun time for him. The pit stop here is 20 seconds, actually shorter than I remembered, but so yeah, not lengthy at all. That was my mistake. Short pit stops, so you can pit as much as you want, but I would imagine he will be pitting soon. His tires are dying, so is virtually everyone else's. We will also be pitting fairly soon. For now, though, I think what we're going to do with Tsunoda is just pull him into full attack mode. He has a little bit extra tire to go on, he can push, and as we just saw, Russell did actually end up pitting. So that does open a bit of a gap. He does come out really far behind, though, in 10th and 11th. So as long as the cars between us don't pit, he is going to be kind of slightly stuck there. He's going to be losing lap time. Verstappen pits, Leclerc pits, Sainz pits. I think they've double stacked. But yeah, that does open up some room now. So what I'm thinking is that we get Lawson in this lap, put him on the hards, just put him onto attack immediately. Tsunoda, we're still going to stretch a couple more laps because he did have time on the rest of the pack. And we'll see it now if Lawson can come out ahead of Verstappen. That's going to be the big one. He comes out behind Russell, which is honestly okay. We did wait a few laps longer to pit. It is kind of what we expected. For Tsunoda, we're going to give him this one final lap here now before we pit him as well. And he should have enough of a gap into Ocon and Russell, for that matter, to get this done. Ocon has yet to pit. But Lawson here comes out pretty far ahead of both Red Bulls, which is very, very promising. So we'll take that with us. For now, though, we'll just kind of retain where we are. We'll see where Tsunoda makes his exit. Should be beating Russell there pretty handedly. And we'll be working on getting Lawson back up to fighting Russell. Shouldn't be an issue, though. I think it should be pretty straightforward. And we'll see where we're at once we get to that final conserve soft stint of ours, and see if it actually works out here. Experimentation is fun. We've had yet another incident, another crash. In this case, it is the Williams and the Aston Martin. A little bit of a tap there. Don't think either car is out though, so we shouldn't be seeing a safety car. But yeah, bit of a penalty there for show. And I was about to say, judging by the pace here, I would imagine Stroll got some damage to his tires as well. So yeah, bit unfortunate. We have pulled away from Russell, as you can see. Lawson is now 6 seconds behind Tsunoda. Russell 14 seconds. Verstappen 28. So at this point, I'd say we are fairly safe. Once we get to the pit window here, we'll be seeing probably a little bit of a gain in the gaps. But yeah, looking very, very good. We're still going to be pushing these hards probably a little bit longer than we intended, particularly in Tsunoda's case. It's going to benefit him if we do. Can run that final, soft stint on probably something higher than conserve if we do. But we do also want to stretch these softs here. Sorry, not softs. These hards probably a little bit more for Lawson as well. Although he does have a pretty handy gap in down to Verstappen. So we might just do a little bit of a passive one where we wait for Russell and Verstappen, Leclerc, and everyone behind to pit before we do so ourselves. Because right now we don't have a need to immediately pit. That is it. And Russell does now pit, which puts us into a little bit more of a pushed position. But I think we can stretch one more lap before we go onto the soft tires, so we'll do just that. And should still have a pretty decent gap here to the rest of the pack, so it shouldn't be an issue. We'll keep him on attack so that he heats up the tires quick enough. And if we really wanted to, we could probably stretch him one more lap, and that wouldn't matter much either. So Lawson does now pit, comes out, still clear advantage to third, which is Russell. And once these tires get up to heat, we are going to be tuning them to conserve. We also do need to keep in mind though that if we end up underheating these, we might have to still run them on light, which is also another reason why we want to push the hard stint as much as possible. Because if we end up in a situation where we are cooling the tires a little bit too much, like we're actually seeing here with Lawson, we are going to have to tune him up so he doesn't lose too much performance. So could also be a case made here for him, you know, going very aggressive and doing another pit stop. And we'll have a look at that quickly, because that might actually be what we kind of forced to do here with how things are going. We could actually put him onto a medium stint here too. So we could do something like this. It is supposed to be quicker, but that one takes into account that tires are going to die. So we'll have to see here what we do. If the tires struggle a lot, we might switch them onto something else. If we have a look at the softs, for instance, how would they fare with the increaser in, you know, problems? Probably just about make it. So we'll see and make a decision within the next few laps here what we do with him. If he can heat up the tires or not, because right now the fronts are the ones that are losing out mainly. So in terms of lap times, he's still quicker than Russell, but I think Russell was on his out lap, so we'll see what the times look like this time around. Russell is still running 36.8, so we're still running a lot quicker, so what I'm thinking here is that it's actually fine for us to just do an extra stop. I still think that we want to try and put Tsunoda on this. That should be fine. He has a pit stop on the rest of the pack. Lawson basically has a pit stop as well, so we can actually put him onto this aggressive strategy. And depending on how quickly these softs die, we might just put him onto another fastest lap Schumacher. I think that's fake news because Lawson said fastest lap. But yeah, we can potentially just put him onto a new set of softs. For Tsunoda here, it's actually keeping some heat in the tires, but they might just not have reached the bottom temperature yet. So we'll see how this plays out. In terms of lap times though, Tsunoda is just slightly slower than Lawson. Although we had a yellow flag there. Another crash. Once again, Albon is involved. And a small touch there into the corner. So nothing major, just a very light touch. But yeah, I think we're playing it safer with Lawson. We're going for this one with Tsunoda because he can make it work. And we'll be, as I said, pitting Lawson again pretty soon here. So 10 laps ago, we'll just allow him to run these softs to the ground somewhat. Then we'll pit him for a new pair. And that should be it for the race, unless of course he spins. He's still parked. That's bad. That could mean that we're going to have a little bit more of a fight with Russell.
That's the moment they lose it. And I wonder...
Okay, so now I'm very curious. How much time did we lose? 16 seconds, it says.
Feedback on tires.
And I should have pitted him immediately after that spin. That's my bad. I was more concerned about the gap, but let's face it. 4 seconds, older hards versus fresh softs, shouldn't really be a fight. So notice tires are cold. We can, of course, going up to standard now. He should be fine till the end of the race. No problems there for Lawson, but as I said, he is going to have to fight Russell now. A little bit of a problem there, but as you can see, these tires should make it to the end, no problem. And he has actually already just gotten Russell. Sorry about the voice, it's giving up a little bit. And Tsunoda here has had a bit of a...
Okay, Yuki.
Sorry about that. Voice kind of gave up on life for a second there, but it should be okay right now. Tsunoda's had a bit of an incident. He is in the wall. The aerodynamics mainly took most of the brunt, but there's some damage to, I would believe, engine and gearbox, and it is. Because they basically were in the same setup. Luckily, the ERS survived, but this could mean that we need to buy a new engine. But he has already won the championship, so we might just run him on poorer engines. We'll see. I don't know if he's fully out though. He is. So Lawson now has a massive chance to get himself a win. Virtual safety car. He is running in first. 5 laps to go. Basically fresh softs on the car versus the cars behind who has far older tires. So he's ended up in a prime position here due to Tsunoda's incident. And unfortunately, again, because of my cough, we didn't really see what happened. But he crashed. And that is fairly unfortunate. But that is just how it be sometimes. Now, for Lawson, it should be fine now for him to just straight up push. And that is basically what he's doing. He is gonna, with everything that we've given him, probably create a pretty sizable gap to Russell within a few laps here. But the main concern now is that Russell could, you know, go full push himself and make it work. So we'll have to see here. Lawson is ahead. We've had another Albon incident.
Follow the car in front of you, the debris.
This has really been a weekend of crashes here. And it's once again one of those slight little touches that get the best of them. But yeah, Wilson has pulled ahead here now. We can just speed things along. Probably not that much. But yeah, we're nearing the end. And again, sorry for the coughing, the sniffling, the everything. I was feeling better yesterday, feeling a bit worse today. Hopefully I'm not brewing on anything. But it's a shame with Tsunoda. It happens. He's out. Wilson should be getting the win here unless he crashes the car. So let's just tune him down before he does.
Update on tires. Update on tires.
Final lap. Let's see how he does. Unless, of course, the Williams decides to assassinate him. And Albon actually is out after that light touch there. So the damage has built up and he's out. I didn't actually realize before now because I didn't think he would have taken enough damage to get ejected, but he did. So we'll get everyone in. Race winner, Lawson. Let's go. He gets it done. Russell second, Verstappen third, Sainz, Leclerc, Ocon, Gasly, Magnussen, Norris, and Italian Jesus. So, fairly good race there. Russell has been kind of fired the last few races in the game. Makes things a bit interesting. Driver Championship then. Tsunoda gets 8 points from the sprint. Lawson gets still a decent chunk of points here from the results. A race win, and of course the second place in the sprint itself. Russell, the fight for second out is going to be a bit harder, but the fight for third is just starting. 5 points between these 3 drivers. Sainz, unfortunately, a little bit too far behind to really make a difference. And in the constructors then, we are getting very closer to what seems to be Alpha Tauri, Red Bull, and then Ferrari as our end result. Did have a slow pit stop error here. No real issue. Barely lost time. You know, the crash kind of cancelled that out. I did also forget about Contreras this weekend, unfortunately, which is probably going to bite me in the ass next season. Sidepod research complete. We had some manufacturing done as well. We have, of course, destroyed a chassis and a front wing. We have some failed parts, some suspensions. So we're just going to go through, replace them, and we're going to have a look here at what we actually can use. So in this case, we still have 1 set of each of those chassis, so we're good there. The front wing, though, we are going to need 2 more of these for sure. The sideboard can just replace and then manufacture a new one. Pretty straightforward. The underfloor, we have a failed one. Again, just remanufacture it and we'll be back to working order. And basically the same here with the suspension. That should bring us back up to the parts that we have. Now, as I said, I did manage to hit the wrong button and I didn't record the incidents after last race and the finishing of it. So we'll go through what I did. Basically, the car development facilities here, the design center we have been upgrading. But we started the upgrading of the simulation sim. That cost us about 17 million. We also went ahead and refurbished the team hub and the race sim. Cost us about probably 6-7 million total. And we also refurbished the helipad. So that's what we did facility-wise. We also negotiated a new contract with Speedy. Basically gave him a new 5-year contract, increased his paycheck by $500,000, and well, he was happy with that. So we've gotten that sorted. New contract there, no problem. And we'll be getting ready for Mexico in 4 days, but because my voice is starting to give out already, I'm gonna have to end this episode here. For those of you who've seen, I've uploaded, I should have uploaded anyways, Payday today. And I'll be uploading a little bit of it going forwards. I enjoy the game myself. Might not be the best thing to upload on a channel that has been mainly F1 Manager for the last year or so. But I do want to upload the games that I enjoy, and Payday is one of them. I've also been enjoying some Starfield earlier, but wasn't really anything to upload there. Payday content is mostly going to be guides and speedruns for the most part, so if you don't enjoy that, feel free to ignore them, that's fine. But I just want to let you guys know that I'm still going to be doing the F1 Manager stuff, but you might see days when I upload something else instead. So it is what it is. I will do what I like with this channel, so I'll be playing the games that I enjoy. I'm really enjoying F1 Manager, don't get me wrong, but as more games get into that fold, you'll probably see them. I was planning some Victoria 3 last year. I got sick, that put a damper on that. But yeah, we'll see what happens going forward. Thank you for watching, hope you've enjoyed. Please like if you haven't, and hope to see you around next time. Bye bye.